How is it living in Japan as a foreigner? This is a question that I got. I've been asked this question quite a few times over the past, 6 months. Yeah, people have asked, how was it? How was what's been my experience living in Japan? Well, this was a long time ago, so I got to put things into context. This was in the '90s when I lived in Japan, and I was in the military. I was in the Navy at the time. Well, like, share the video, and if you're following me on iTunes, I would appreciate it if you left me a review as well. So, this was in the '90s. I'm in the Navy. Um, First off, I didn't want to go to Japan. I didn't. If you haven't been in the Navy, I don't know about the rest of those branches, but I didn't ask. You don't really get to pick where you want to be stationed. Your first when you first go in, they give you like a broad territory or part of the world, but you can't really. You don't really have too much say so. You really don't, unless you know somebody or whatever. But for the most part, you don't really have too much say so. And I think I actually wrote down on the paper that I wanted to be stationed in San Diego, out west. But out west ended up being Japan. So I didn't want to go to Japan. That's the first thing. I've never been, and at the time, you have to understand, I'm 20 years old, about to be 21. I've never been out of the country before. I think the farthest I ever been at that time was New York City. And I was all over South Carolina, of course. I think I might have went to North Carolina once, Florida once, twice. Well, that's about it. I didn't haven't traveled um, a lot at that age, growing up. Um, so I didn't want to go there. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't. I didn't even know where Japan was located at the time on the map. I didn't know anything about Japan. I didn't know any Japanese person growing up. Um, I never seen a Japanese person growing up. I seen Koreans, Chinese, but I never saw a Japanese person growing up. No, none of them went to my high school or colleges I never. So I didn't know what to expect. I was kind of in the blind. So we ended up flying. They flew me on the Air Force base, in Japan at the time, and I was there for 3 hours when we landed. So I'm like, so I'm kind of lost. I'm like, what? How long are we gonna be here? So the trip from the Air Force base to Yokosuka, the Navy base, was 4 hours. Probably a little more longer than that. So when we get there, no one really knows where I'm supposed to go. I'm kind of lost in limbo, and I end up staying in the temporary housing on base because the ship that I was supposed to go on was one there. So I was supposed to go on an aircraft carrier at the time. So make a long story short, I ended up the ship pulled in like a week later, no, 2 weeks later. I got on there, and that started to get acclimated with everything. So, but even before the ship pulled in, I actually went off base, because the base is in a small town, and it's basically a military town, which was cool. They got a couple clubs, not like more like bars outside the base, which was cool, and they had a mall, It don't look nothing like it used to look. Today it's pretty much run down, So I ended up leaving Yokosuka and I started going to places like Yokohama, Kawasaki, and I went to Tokyo one time. No, I didn't even go to Tokyo until I actually got on the ship. But in the beginning, it was tough. I had a hard time just adapting because, like I said, I couldn't speak the language. I didn't understand the language. Once you leave the base areas, a lot of people don't speak English. Of course, in Tokyo, a lot of people speak English, but I realized that once I left the Yokosuka area, a lot of people didn't speak English. So that was the most frustrating part for me, because I didn't understand any language, any other language besides English at the time. So that was frustrating to me. I didn't like the food. Man, that's another thing. The food in Japan is not good for you. I'm talking like they got a lot of sugar. Everything is kind of like, I don't understand why people don't get fat, like really get fat in Japan. There's some people that's overweight, but I don't understand why people don't blow up. I mean, they got sweets galore. It tastes good, but this shit ain't good for you. God damn. The food is really bad, man. It tastes good, but it's not really good for you. This shit is gonna kill you. All the sugar. When it comes to sweets, sugar, mad sugar. They like pork. They love the pig, the swine. It's all about the sauce, soy sauce. They love soy sauce. That stuff is not good for you, man. It tastes good, but that shit will make you sick after a while, man. And they know it. They know it. But people are still eating it anyway. They eat all the sweets, eat whatever. So the food is not good for you. And Japan is very expensive. It's a very expensive place to live, especially in Tokyo. It kind of reminds me of New York City. It's a very expensive place to live. I mean, it's a party too. Now the nightlife, oh man, the nightlife in Japan is off the hook. In Tokyo, that's where the party at in Tokyo. See, when I first went to Japan, the first month I didn't go anywhere. But when I went to Tokyo, I was like, oh yeah, this is where it's at, man. Yeah, I can kind of get used to this. But outside of Tokyo, it ain't too much going on, man. Tokyo is where it's at. Tokyo is where it's at. And Japan is one of those places where your experience, it's all about who you know. It's all about who you know. Your experience is going to be dictated upon who you know, who you rolling with. That Japan is one of those places, man. Now, a lot of people speak English, but they don't like to speak English. That's the funny thing. They don't like to speak English. Now, if you speak Japanese, a lot of the girls will be impressed by that. But Japanese is a very hard language to learn. It's not like any other language. It's a very hard language to learn. It's very hard. Even for me to this day, it's still difficult. Even if you around Japanese people all the time and they speaking around you and you start picking up things, it's still difficult to learn. Because it's not like any other language. Not similar to Spanish, not similar to the Arabic. It's not similar to no other language. It's a language of its own, really. Yeah. So it pays to be around the right kind of people. Now, I remember when I first went there, I was usually hanging around working class people when I first got there. After about year or two, I say about 2 years, I started hanging around different group of people. People that are kind of what I would say affiliated with Japanese yakuza. You know, and P.S. and by the way, I didn't even know who they were affiliated with Japanese yakuza. I didn't know. You know, I'm green out there. I don't know who's who. Now I knew that they didn't work a 9 to 5 job. I knew some of these people had businesses or they worked for people that had businesses. I knew that much. But they would never tell me what they did for a living though. They would never tell me what they did for a living. The people that work for other people that have businesses. That's what I would say. But I was so green, man, I didn't really know no better at the time. So I was kind of like, I kind of went along with it. Really. But those people kind of showed me the ropes. Kind of taught me what really was going on and how things really work over there. And that helped me a lot. You know, but by the time I met these people, it was time for me to leave. Because, you know, I was leaving like the end of 99. Early 2000s. I was out of there. So by the time I met them, I had like a year left. I'm like about to leave. You know? But I was like, if I would have met y'all when I first got here, I probably had a totally different experience. And some of those people I kept in contact with ever since I got out. And I still visit Japan from time every 2 to 5 years. I still go back and visit people and I keep in contact with people and whatnot, you know. But, you know, Japan is a hard place to live. It's a hard place to meet people. Because you like being in America or any westernized country, you know, you meet people anywhere. Grocery store, at the park, at the store, at the gas station, Walmart, Target, at the job. It doesn't really matter. But see, in Japan, talking on the sidewalk to a woman, or trying to pick up a woman on the sidewalk, I would say that's like forbidden. That's not something that they do over there. You know, I don't know why, but this is what I was told when I first got there. And I didn't know this until I started asking for directions. And this is the trick. This is the trick that I use. Now, once I found out that picking up girls on the sidewalk was forbidden, what I started doing is asking for direction. I played like I was lost. And then once she gave me the direction, then I kind of flipped the conversation into trying to get to know her. I've done that many times. A lot of time, I'm going to say most of the time it worked. Most of the time it worked. But if you walk up to a woman and you say, "Hi, how you doing?" like you normally would, trying to pick her up, she's going to keep going. She's going to keep going, man. Yeah. So the trick that I used to do, especially if you get lost in Japan, look for the most attractive woman, ask her for directions, and she'll give you directions. And you flip the conversation, and you ask her name, and try to get to know her. I used to do it all the time. And I'm going to say a good 60% of the time that used to work out pretty well. Really. If you're still in Japan, go try it. If that's going to work out, way better than you just walking up to her and ask her name, that ain't going to work. That probably ain't going to work. You know, that's not going to work. See, it's hard especially if you go to Japan, and if you're a black, let's say you're a black woman, they have a hard time over there meeting people. Not all, but the majority, especially if they don't speak the language. Now, somebody like me go over there, cool, we'll have a blast, you know. But it's not gonna happen until you understand their culture, and if you speak the language, the more the merrier. And who you rolling with matters, you know, because your experience is predicated upon who you meet. Now, if you're a white woman, oh man, they'll roll up the red carpet for you. I'm just saying, you know, I've heard a bunch of white women went over there. Oh, they love it. You know, I understand why, but that's a video for another day. You know, but yeah. So I had a good experience, but I'm saying in the beginning it was tough, man, because you know I'm a young dude. I never been anywhere before until then. The farthest I ever been was New York City, and I'm from South Carolina, and that's as far as I ever been is New York City at the time. But until I got to know people, that's when things started to change. That's when things started to shift. You know. And I didn't want to go over there. And that was part of the problem in the beginning. I didn't ask to go over there. I didn't ask to be stationed over there. Now, some people have said to me that me being in the Navy and living over there, that doesn't count. I've had people try to make this argument. They said, if you go over there on your own, that's really living in Japan. And I said, if I go over there on my own, the experience probably be worse. Just knowing how they think over there. You know why I say that? Because if you're attached, and this is what I've learned over there. If this goes back to what I just said. Who you rolling with matters most. So it don't got to necessarily be a person. It could be a company. Could be military. Who's behind you matters. Now, if you go over there and you say I'm speaking English, I'm taking I'm an English teacher. You teaching English. See, you're kind of that's not really a good position to be in. Because number one, you're not going to be able to make enough money teaching English. That's first thing. And where you going to be staying at? You know, and you're going to probably be staying in a small ass apartment, paying $800 a month. It's not even a studio. I'm talking these damn apartments are like the size of this damn room here that I'm in right now. If you're watching me on video, if you listen to the podcast, I mean, this room is probably 200-300 square feet. So this is not a big room. And there's apartments in Japan this size, studio apartments. You know, you paying $800 a month. And you're not making a lot of money. You're making probably just over $2,000 a month. That ain't no money. You struggling over there. You gonna be home a lot. Because once you pay $800 in rent, you got utilities, you ain't got too much money left over. You're better off just being in America, making just over $2,000 a month. And you're struggling in another country? That don't make no sense to me, man. So, it's better to go over there being attached to a big company or military. You know, Really. Even if you're a government employee or contractors, you're better off. But if you go over there, like the argument, a lot of people try to make it seem like if you're, you know, it's a different experience if you're not in the military. That's BS. This is how they think over there now. You know, which they, over there, another thing you gotta keep in mind. They do a lot of things over there that's not even practical. It's just how they feel. Or it's just something that they've been doing forever, that's been passed down. But it doesn't make any sense, none whatsoever. See, over there, it's not about what makes sense. It's not what's practical. It's about what they've been told to do, basically. And see, that's another thing. Over there, they have the herd mentality. And if you go to them, anybody, this is usually working class people, by the way. If you tell them, hey, I know a better way, they'll be like, no. And the reason why they'll reject it, because in their mind, they feel like you think that you're smarter than the people that came before them. That's why they're rejected. And plus, it's been going on for so long, and people over there, for the most part, especially working class people, they're not trying to change. They don't want to change. They don't want to upgrade. They don't want to do none of that shit. They just want things to keep on going the way it is. This is why you have a lot of people that they don't even want to get in relationship with a woman. A lot of guys are like that now over there. They don't even want to be in a relationship with a woman. They'll just get practice. They go to these crazy fetish bars and buy sex dolls and everything that's artificially associated with a woman. They'll get into that. But when it comes to deal with a woman, they don't want to be. They don't want to be married. They don't want to do none of that stuff. They have a lot of that going on over there now, which is weird to me. The alternative is a sex doll. The alternative is going to some sex bar, going to the massage parlor. It's like, and the suicide rate is high over there. It's a very high stress environment being over there. Because like I said, you have a lot of people that are doing things, they're self-sabotaging themselves. They're not setting themselves up to win. They're setting themselves up to fail. So these are the types of people you're going to meet if you stay over there long enough. You're going to meet a woman that's like this. You're going to meet a woman, you coming over there, she knows that you don't know, know very little, really, about what's going on over there. So if you introduce her to something new, she's going to be thinking that you're being arrogant. Even though what you're saying might make sense. It might work. But she won't even try it. Because she thinks she knows everything. But you're going to meet people that's like this. I met people like that when I was over there. And I still know people like that that's still over there. So people, there's a lot of self-sabotage over there. There's a lot of, some people, they say they got mental disorders or whatever. You call it whatever you want to call it. But, to me, it's all about winning. It's all about living the best life you can be and trying to be the best you can be and take care of the people that's around you. But over there, it ain't a lot of that. I see a lot of people that self-sabotage. Now the people that I was around when I was on my way out, they want to get better. They want to change. They want to do things. A lot of them have traveled. A lot of them have are bilingual. A lot of them have went to college over here in the States. So you have different types of Japanese people. You know, there's forward thinking Japanese people, and there's Japanese people that just want things to stay the way it is, the same. You know, and that's just what it is. But overall, man, my experience in Japan, it's been cool, man. It's nothing to brag about. You know, it's a good place to take a vacation for like a week. You know, it's cool, man. You know, but it's a hard place to live, man. You have to be a very disciplined person. Like I said, it's hard to meet people. Where you gonna meet people at? You know what most people meet people at over there? In the club or at the job. That's where most people meet people at in the club and at the job and through other friends. But if you go over there and you don't know nobody, it's going to be even more difficult. Then you're going to be up in the club. And the clubs over there today ain't the way it used to be. So it's just going to be difficult if you don't know anybody. I would say if you're going to go over there, move over there, try to get to know people before you go over there. I guess online or the best you can, I would say. Don't wait until you get there. And try to understand the language. It's a very difficult language, man. It's not like any other language. You know, it's not like speaking Spanish. But Spanish, it's not that difficult. You know. So, hey, you know, that's been my experience. I can go on and on and on. But if you have any questions, just let me know below. And I'll get back to you or whatever. So like, share the video, and check me out on iTunes. And leave me a review. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.